Sports betting tools are really useless if you don't know how to read them and actually understand the concepts of how to execute and deploy these tools. A lot of sports bettors will see a line move and they don't really know what to do. Should they go ahead and go through with the bet? Should they back off? What does it mean? Now, again, for those of you new, I'm Boyd. I'm the founder of Sports Bet University, where we try to teach and help all the sports bettors that need the knowledge, the math, the markets, and understand how the money works to make better decisions, profit consistently, and stop that donation to the sports books. It's really something that's all easy to execute if you understand the tools, and today's video is going to really help get you set up. Now today we're going to dive back into the SHARPMONEY Positive EV tool, but this time we're focusing on the settings and the line movement, the dynamics that will allow you to make these elite decisions in real time. So these tools, even though you might see a positive number on the left-hand side for price, might actually be an indication to lay off and bypass it. But this is the difference between just placing a bet and executing on a high-level strategy. And if you want to stop donating and start profiting quickly, this is the class you've been waiting for. Now really focus and pay attention on the settings and the concepts that Closing Time, Robbie with SHARPMONEY, is going to help you out with. It's going to help you really elevate quickly and expedite your learning journey to profit fast. Now, as always, if you watch and wait till the very end, I've got a little link with the promo code 2 weeks of my undergrad picks with my daily over-the-shoulder market breakdowns for you, videos and selections to help you understand the concepts before you start to play with live money if you want to. So let's get going.
Welcome in, everyone. My name is Robbie. I'm one of the owners of SHARPMONEY, and today we're going to use the SHARPMONEY Plus EV tool to find some plays. We're going to talk about what a good bet looks like, what a bad bet looks like. This is going to be good for beginner bettors and advanced bettors. I really want to drive home the concept here that the SHARPMONEY Plus EV tool is one of the best tools in the market for really getting a grasp of where the line is going. And this is going to allow you to stay off of bad bets and to get on some really good bets that will close with great CLV and some value. So the main point I kind of want to drive home here is that, expected value percentages are really just indicators that the play currently has value, but that's not really what you want to base your bet off. The market is not a stable market. The market moves up and down all day long, and it grabs direction, and it usually heads in one direction. So what I always say is just use positive EV percentages as an indicator that this play might be good. Now, we'll go into some examples, but the whole point of our service is to say, if you see a 5% EV play, that might be a play that you do not want to bet because the market is moving the wrong direction. And SHARPMONEY has the tools to, give you that information to make a really good judgment on where the market is going. So it's quite often that I will lay off of 5% EV bets and then absolutely smash 1% EV bets when I believe the market is moving in the right direction. And I'll bet it currently at 1% EV and it'll close, 3, 4, 5%. So really the point I want to drive home here is that EV percentages are just what we flag a play as, but understanding where that play is going is really the most important. And that really opens up so many opportunities to get good bets in. So today we're going to go over some examples. We're going to use the SHARPMONEY tool, find some good plays, find some bad plays. So here's the first play we're going to talk about. This is the Memphis Grizzlies at the New Orleans Pelicans under 233.5 points, minus 120. Now, this is a 0.5% EV play. So this is the lowest that we'll actually flag a plus EV play. But this is an example of a great bet, like a textbook SHARPMONEY bet, where we're betting this at 0.5%, but the market is steaming in one direction. So we will likely close with way more value than 0.5%. If you're blindly betting plus EV plays, this is something you might lay off of without knowing where the market is going. So let's do a little dive into the two graphs that you are going to see when you're using the SHARPMONEY tool. So on the left side of the screen here, we can see the odds graph and the pinnacle limit graph. And this is showing you the books that have the odds for this under 233.5. Now, we typically use Pinnacle, Circuit, and Bookmaker as our sharp books and kind of our source of truth. In this example, it looks like only Bookmaker and Pinnacle have odds out. So the 0.5% value is to the current line of Bookmaker and Pinnacle. Pinnacle is the pink line, Bookmaker is the yellow line, and the white line represents the Pinnacle limits. So there's a direct correlation with Pinnacle limits and Pinnacle odds, and we're going to do a deep dive into that right now. So let's first talk about why we want to see odds dropping, like we see that pink line dropping at the bottom of this chart. So we see that Pinnacle had their odds set to, it was right around that like plus 100 odds, and then it absolutely tanked down to about, it looks like minus 130. So it went from plus 100 odds for this bet to minus 130. That's a 30-cent drop in odds. And the reason that you want to look for dropping odds is because that is the sportsbook Pinnacle telling you that they are going to pay you out less for this line now, which means there's some news came in or some sharp money came in on the line where they had to adjust their payouts. So basically they're telling you, hey, we were taking plus 100 odds earlier. Now we're only going to take minus 130 because we are getting a heavy action on this side of the bet. Could be someone was injured, could be some news that broke, or like I said, could just be sharp action that is causing this line to drop. The other thing that is great is the Pinnacle limits really represent how confident Pinnacle is in their line. So you can see when this line initially dropped, the Pinnacle limits were at $3,000, and then they bumped up to $5,000. And the second they hit $5,000, those odds sunk really fast. And the reason that you see this happen is a lot of professional handicappers, they won't place their bets on small limits. So like they're not trying to get $3,000 down. They want to get $5,000 down. So the second they see that limit increase on Pinnacle to 5K, that's when they go place their wagers. That's when Pinnacle starts seeing professional action, and that's when Pinnacle starts moving their line. So seeing odds dropping without a limit increase is typically a very good play also. But when you get a limit increase along with the odds dropping, it's just a slam dunk play. And you can see here, bookmaker has been pretty much stable or slightly trending down. But the fact that Pinnacle is dropping here is just makes it such a good play. Now, if this chart wasn't enough to say, hey, I need to be on this play, what we can also see is the mainline trend of the sharp books, Pinnacle, Circa, and Bookmaker. So in this example, Circa doesn't have this under 233.5 as one of their lines because it's likely an alternate line, and Circa typically will only offer like one line. So what we do is we can look at the mainline market trend. The mainline trend is basically what numbers do the books have it at. These are typically their minus 110 lines, or their main markets, their main lines. So if you see the main lines dropping as well, going towards the under here, then that means we're on the right side. We can see Bookmaker had their main line set at 236.5, and that yellow line dropped all the way down to 232. So that is a massive move towards the under. Going from 236 down to 232 is a 4-point swing towards the under. That means they're moving the line towards the under. It's becoming more favorable. So you can see Circa moved that direction, Pinnacle moved that direction, and Bookmaker moved that direction as well. So this makes it such a good play. And I have an example here on Pickett too, because I actually placed this bet, and it closed with a lot of value to Pinnacle. It closed 5.98% to Pinnacle, so we got it at minus 120. The Pinnacle closing odds were minus 137. So this is just an example of, yes, we flagged this at 0.5% EV, but this play finished much better. And not only did it finish better, but when you are a limited bettor, someone like myself that can't get that much money down, you really have to find these smaller EV plays that no one else is betting to be able to hit them hard and without the lines moving so quick. Big 5% EV plays with good line movement get hit in a second and they're gone. These plays, you can see them for a little while and you can actually get your money down. And the other thing too you want to think about is when you're betting into main lines like spreads, totals, and money lines, those are very efficient markets. You're not going to see massive EV plays at one time. The market moves slowly in one direction. If you can get in at the right time at a small EV, that EV percentage will grow and you'll have great closing line. And most of these efficient markets are the markets that you can bet big dollar amounts into. So someone like myself, I can only bet full game spreads and totals for if I want to get a decent amount of money down. So this is kind of the bread and butter of sharp money. These are the plays that I personally look for and absolutely hammer as much as I can. This next play is also a no-brainer and really a perfect example of what you're looking for. So this movement does not correlate with a limit increase, but that's just because news can break at any time. If you see a limit increase go up and then action come down, that typically means that sharp bettors were waiting to get their bet in. But when you see odds move this drastically without a limit increase, then it typically means someone was ruled in or out or some injury got released. What you'll also see a lot of the times is sports books lower their limits once they see this kind of action because they're getting so much action on one side of the line, they have to lower their limits and readjust their lines. But none of the books have done that in this example. But here's a perfect example where we're looking at the Miami Heat money line. This is a play that where they opened up in the minus 140 range, and they all the sharp books, Pinnacle, Circa, and Bookmaker, as you can see here, are now close to minus 230. So we have like a 100-cent drop. Clearly, someone on the Bulls got ruled out, and the Heat are becoming massive favorites. So this was a bet that I was able to get on Novig, and it's just a clear example of the market moving in one direction and being able to grab these good plays. So obviously, payouts are dropping drastically for the Heat money line. So you want to get, I think I got this at minus 199 odds when all these sharp books just dropped past that to like minus 225. So clear good bet here. Like I said, I almost don't even care about EV percentages. I'm just looking for these types of plays. So this one, I hit on Novig, took all the liquidity that was left there, and got a great price, and they ended up winning this game as well. And the sharp money tool is so fast. You're really able to beat people to the exchanges before anyone else sees these lines. So you can get on these small EV plays that no one's even really looking at and see the market and get to your bets with one-click links very quickly. So clear example of a great play here. Not much else to talk about. This is just a slam dunk play. So let's get into a play that's a little bit more questionable before we get into plays that I would hold off on. Now, here's a play that doesn't have great line movement, but the one thing we can take away from this graph and these odds is that it's a stable market. We can see that Pinnacle, Circa, and Bookmaker are all factored into this line. If you look from left to right, I mean, the overall trend of this line is downwards, which does indicate that the odds are becoming less, which is a good indicator. But overall, we see kind of this up and downward movement from all of the book's odds, which tells us that we're looking at a pretty stable market right now. And these are one of the plays where I really want to look at the EV percentages, because I don't have any indication that this market is going to go up or down from the current position it's in. So now this is a play where I will actually look at the EV percent and make a judgment call based on the EV percent, because I think that this current EV percent does represent the best chance of value that the line will close at. So for an example here, this plays on Polymarket. This is the Nuggets money line on Polymarket for plus 163 at a 3% edge. Now, a 3% edge is great. I typically run around 3% ROI on my personal bets. So this is something that I want to get on. I don't think this is going to close higher than 3%. I don't really think it's going to close lower than 3%. This market looks stable. If you want to play 3% EV plays, this is perfect for you. If this was a 0.5% EV play with no market direction, maybe it's something I lay off of. But because we have a higher EV percentage and the market is stable, this is a play that I do like a lot, that I'm going to play myself. And I think that we're going to close with some good value here. You can also see that this is available on Hard Rock as well at plus 160. So it's a slightly worse EV percentage. You're getting 1.8% EV on Hard Rock, but you have two options here if you didn't have Polymarket, which everyone in the United States will have Polymarket soon. But yeah, this is a great play. Stable market. So look at the EV percentages when you see stable markets. We see Pinnacle limit increases without too much movement. We see the first move going from like 1.5K up to 3K and a little downward action there. And then the next movement, we see a little upward action, but it's nothing that's really telling. What you really want to see when it comes to line movement is like 10-cent swings is typically what I look for. You see typical fluctuations of 5-6 cents up and down throughout the day of books kind of just adjusting their odds back and forth, trying to level out some action maybe. But you don't really need to, the market isn't really moving heavily in one direction until I see like above 10%. So that's something to think about as well. Before we break down this play, please do me a favor. If you're still listening this late in the video, you're obviously very interested. about learning about being a profitable sports bettor. So I really appreciate you guys tuning in and staying this long in the video. If you could leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel, that would be greatly appreciated. One of my goals this year is to grow this channel as much as possible. So that being said, let's take a look at this chart. Now, this is a play that I'm going to avoid. This is a play on Novig. And if you are betting into the exchanges like Novig and ProfitX, these exchanges are loaded with sharp bettors. It's peer-to-peer betting. So you're not betting against a book that has stale lines. You are betting against someone who posted a number out there. So a lot of the times these plays are going to be plays you want to lay off of. So here's an example of a play that is positive EV in the moment, but I believe this is going to close with a negative EV if we bet it now. So this play is the Bulls versus the Bucks over 223.5, minus 110 or plus 100, whatever you want to call it, on Novig. Now, the reason I don't like this play is we can see that the Pinnacle odds are increasing. If you look at this chart here, Pinnacle was at about minus 130, and they've already moved up to like minus 110. So in this example, Pinnacle was giving minus 130 payouts. Now they're giving minus 110, which is basically saying, hey, if you bet the over in this game, we will pay you out more now than we would have later. So you see these limit increases happening, and the market continuously moves up as well. So limit increases going up and odds going up mean avoid that play at all cost. Even if this was a 3, 4, 5% EV play, this is a play that I'm not touching, but especially that this is under a 1% EV play, you don't even think about this. So if this wasn't enough to get you off of the play, and we only have the Pinnacle odds as a reference here, so I understand if that's not enough information for you, what you can do is you can scroll down and see the main trend line. So you can see what Circa Bookmaker and Pinnacle have their main line set at, and you can see that these numbers are dropping. But this is something you have to be careful with. In the main market trend, you're not looking for dropping lines. You're looking for lines going towards your bet. So in this example, we bet the over. We would want to see the market moving towards the over, but the main market is moving towards the under. So this is another example of a bet we want to lay off. We can see that Bookmaker opened up at 227.5, and they're currently sitting at 223.5. So clear indication that the under is getting hit. So another indicator to lay off of this line. So that's the one thing you have to be careful of is the odds movement graphs. The first graph you see, you're always looking for odds dropping. But when it comes to the second graph, the mainline trend, you have to know what side of the bet you're on and take a look at where the market is moving. Like I said, this example, we want value on the over, but the lines are moving towards the under. So this is definitely a play that we skip. Now, knowing what plays to skip are just as important as knowing which plays to take. So this is really important that you understand which bets to place. Now, it's tough when you're, even if you're a new bettor, you're excited to place all these plus EV bets. Be patient. You're going to experience a lot less volatility and a lot better profits and ROIs if you can lay off the bad bets and hammer the good bets. So here's a bet that I would definitely lay off of. If you're not a part of the Sharp Money Discord already, it's completely free Discord, so you can join using the link below. If you're interested in using the Sharp Money plus EV tool, that tool can be found on the Pro or Alpha package. If you want the graphs and advanced filter settings, Pro and Alpha have both of those. So definitely check out that package. It's also available in the link down below. Everything is ran through WAP. So if you purchase the package, it's going to bring you over to WAP, and that's where our app lives. That's where you can access all of this. So if you're interested in upgrading to Alpha, which houses our Signal tool, which is a proprietary tool that has all the logic built in for player props right now, definitely check that out. I have a video all about the Signal tool right here. So give it a watch and let me know what you guys think.
There you have it. You've seen the Sharp Money EV tool showing you the line movement and how to decipher and use Circa, Pinnacle, Bookmaker, the odds making sports books, and the market direction, the market insights to help you make very good decisions, positive EV bets, profiting over and over again. As promised, staying till the very end, I'm going to give you the keys to the engine. Hit that link in the description to join the undergrad program and use promo code SBU Sharp. That's going to get you 2 weeks of my personal plays, and most importantly, the daily over-the-shoulder videos where you see me addressing the markets and why we would make certain selections, maybe why we pass on certain picks. It's going to help expand your education and knowledge before you start playing with live bullets with betting. And also, once you use the promo code SBU Sharp, you're going to get those plays. Go ahead and take that SBU entrance exam. The entrance exams where we can see if you're ready for the bachelor's program, and also make sure that you check that Sharp Money link below to get your hands on the same tools Robbie just showed you. Closing Dime is here for you. We're all here for you to get educated and get elevated.